What's up, terrestrials? This is your very own UFO UAP news. If you like UFOs, aliens, mysteries, conspiracies, and anything paranormal, then you are in the right place. If you would hit like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. So, without further ado, let's get down to your news.
So, there's been a lot going on in the UFO UAP disclosure arena from Portals and News Nation, Ross Coulthart, Breakaway Civilizations, and even more. I'm going to start off with Richard Dolan. First thing I want to say is big props to Richard Dolan. He is one of the best minds in ufology, if not the best. Can't say enough good about this man and the work he's done. Plus, he seems like a good guy as well. So, the Danny Jones podcast with Richard Dolan as a guest is a must watch. This is a goldmine of UFO information, and Richard Dolan is an extremely reliable source. I will link the full podcast down below. So, there's so many points in this podcast that I wish I could highlight, but maybe in a future deep dive. With that being said, I'm going to talk about the term we've been hearing all over the place in several podcasts by several researchers, and it's not a new idea. Breakaway civilization is a term that was actually coined by Richard Dolan himself. And in this context, it would be like an elite faction of some sort got a hold of advanced technology, kept it secret, and just went into their own lane and progressed from there. Let's hear what Richard had to say about this. Check this out.
And I thought, what about a civilization that develops out of the classified world that we don't know about, based on Roswell tech or whatever other advanced tech that is kept secret? We had examples during the Cold War of separate scientific infrastructure. In the Soviet Union, they had a separate scientific infrastructure that in a lot of ways was based on some really bizarre things. They had this guy named Trofim Lysenko who had these very unusual ideas about biology and evolution that were only designed to conform with Soviet communist ideology. But it forced an entire infrastructure to go down this dead end path, basically, of research. So, now that's something we know about. But could you develop, I asked myself, based on UFO tech that is kept secret, which I was really thinking a lot about, of course, at that time, to the point where you would have breakthroughs in terms of understanding whether it's gravity or material science or understanding who these beings are that you cannot share with the rest of the world.
Right.
But that doesn't stop you from continuing on to develop this. And so you end up going on your own path.
So, breakaway civilization, that's some scary stuff. We're hearing this way too often. It really would make sense as to why there seems to have been some sort of a governor placed on science and the reason for all the UFO secrecy. Even the reason for that for years they made fools of anyone who took UFOs or aliens or paranormal things seriously. Let's not forget that very stark warning from Matthew Brown when he was on the Weaponized podcast.
For a period of a couple of years is your belief that the technology, the race for the technology, the understanding of the big secret is entirely in the hands of people outside the government and not for the benefit of the public or to protect American national security. It's in some other realm, in some other hands.
I think it's a mix. I think our military, has a long historic involvement in this. So does our intelligence community and our scientific academic community. We have, as a country, allowed ourselves to be penetrated, co-opted, and corrupted by an internationalist force that serves their interests and views nations, peoples as tools and means to an end.
Like a business cabal.
I guess a good question would be, where is the breakaway civilization located? Now, the obvious assumption would be underground. There is a theory that after World War II, there was underground tunneling technology being perfected, and with Operation Paperclip, we had German scientists coming to the US government. And according to the mainstream narrative, the US government was extremely worried about nuclear weapons in that time period. Or was the threat of nukes a psyop for the breakaway civilization to actually get going? Remember, this is a crazy thing to contemplate, but that's what I'm here for. Now, if we're going to explore this idea more, let's just say that the theory turned out to be true. After the Magenta crash as early as 1933 or the Roswell crash 1947, the elites around the world had possession of the crashed UFO craft. I say elites around the world because, as Matt Brown alluded on weaponized, said it's higher than our government. Plus, there's been crashes in places outside of the US. So the elites of the world would have the craft and decided that the technology recovered was too powerful and too beneficial to them for us and the regular public to know about it. So they slow drip the public with technology for the next 100 years, maybe, and they keep it for themselves, and they keep progressing in their own lane. If if they had alien tech back in the early 20th century, then by now it's safe to say that the technology they had would be comparable to magic to us out in the normal world. If all that were true, it wouldn't be too sci-fi or too woo-woo to say that there could be off-world bases even, or even time travelers. If this theory is true, that opens up so many possibilities when it comes to unknown phenomenon. Suddenly, the people that expose off-world bases, moon bases, Mars bases, or even have Jason Sands type claims don't seem so outlandish or even hard to believe anymore. Now, remember, I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just a normal guy that likes to look into shit. All right. Thank you guys for listening to the end. I have much more content coming out regarding UFO news and even other paranormal content I'm working on. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That really helps me out a ton. Till next time, I am out.